Jaguar Land Rover St. Louis, a Plaza Motor Company in the heart of Creve Coeur.
Well, it's the All-Star break, Ben Fred, which leads me to my biggest pet peeve in sports.
Oh, yeah?
I'll tell you about this. I hate how they have the All-Star team,
Yes.
and then somebody gets hurt 4 days before, and they replace them with someone, and that someone gets to prance around town saying, I'm now an All-Star. I'm an All-Star. You're not an All-Star. You're an All-Star replacement. The All-Star was the guy that was named to the team, and they got hurt.
I don't know if I agree with that. You can't put an asterisk on an all-star. You either are or you aren't. Injuries happen, next man up. If that's your take, you might as well say that, look, there doesn't need to be an all-star on every team. Not every team has an all-star. You're creating fake all-stars by saying every team deserves
I'm
one.
just saying, a guy can't go into the bar and say, hey, girl, I'm an all-star, when really he was just a replacement of an actual all-star.
So what do you want him to say? I'm an all-star asterisk.
I want him to say that I'm an all-star replacement. I'm pretty good, but I'm not a star.
No, I would say, look, you're going to tell Aledmus Diaz he shouldn't have been an all-star, but this season kind of proves your point, so I guess I should come up with
Yeah, last season he was an all-star replacement. All right, let's get into some Cardinals talk. Actually, before we get into Cardinals talk, let's talk about this 2017 Jaguar XE. Man, this thing is awesome. 340 horsepower. It makes even you look cool driving it.
All-wheel drive, it's fast. Not that I would ever encourage anybody to drive above the speed limit, of course, but this thing can get up and go.
I'll tell you this, Ben. I heard you can lease this thing for as low as $269.
It's a nice rate, and I'll tell you who to go see about it.
Oh, it's our friends at Jaguar Land Rover St. Louis. All right, let's get into the St. Louis Cardinals. Goodness gracious. It's bonkers that they're have the same record as the Chicago Cubs, but that record is not good. 2 games under 500 heading into the second half of the season. We got to break this down, Bedfred. What are some things that are going to hamper the Cardinals heading into the second half, and what are some things the Cardinals need to do, need to fix in order to possibly make the playoffs?
Yeah, there's a few, but first of all, just what if I told you breaking camp at spring training that the Cardinals were going to be tied with the Cubs at the All-Star break, and that yet they had no chance of winning a wild card, that they were going to have to win the division.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that the Brewers are leading by a handful and then coming into a very easy schedule after the break for the Brewers. These guys might be legit. I know we keep waiting to write them off, but they're playing pretty well. Things the Cardinals have to figure out. What are they going to do with these kids from Memphis, man?
Yeah.
Because some of these guys from Memphis, and Tommy Pham is not a kid. He's been the Cardinals' best player, one of the Cardinals' best players so far this season, other than Jed Jerko. But the newer additions, the Luke Voits, the Paul DeYoungs, they've been the Cardinals' hottest hitters. And as they've won 10 of their last 15, now everybody's going to be healthy coming back after the All-Star break. Are you just going to sit these guys down? We got to play Colton Wong.
Right.
Dexter Fowler's back.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's going to be hard to sit those guys down if they're going to keep hitting that way.
It's a very good point. You got to think young, Paul DeYoung. When you look at him at shortstop, he's kind of this year's Aledmus Diaz. Smaller sample size, but I've been really impressed by his approaches to the at-bats. I watched him even last fall in the Arizona Fall League down there in Arizona and was impressed by his swing, and sure enough, he carried it into spring training. And yeah, he needs some work with the glove, but I think you got to keep playing that guy for sure.
He's been a more sound shortstop defensively than Aledmus has been.
Oh, yeah.
He's taken a step back defensively. I don't know that we're going to see much of Aledmus Diaz the rest of this year.
That's a good point.
And it sounds crazy because we just said he was an all-star last year.
But he wasn't, though. He was a replacement.
He was an all-star. With the way Paul has played and the power that he's had,
yeah, it's fun.
It's going to be hard to not find places for him. Another guy, something to put Paul DeYoung's power in perspective. You know how many home runs he's tied with Randall Grichuk in home runs,
right? Which
says a lot about Randall Grichuk. He's got team high strikeouts despite not that many at bats because he got demoted. He only has 9 home runs.
Yeah, I mean,
to me, this outfield's crowded. I don't see a spot for Grichuk in here. You got to play Tommy Pham.
Yeah.
He's been your best player. You got to, I guess, play Dexter Fowler. I wouldn't play him in center. I know that's what he says he wants to play, and there seems to be some friction here with where Fowler wants to play defensively. But you got to play Fowler, and it seems like the Cardinals are not going to want to pull Stephen Piscotty out. He's got the contract that says he needs to play, even though he hasn't had the kind of season you expected. But to me, I don't see much room for Randall Grichuk.
No, that's a very good point, Ben Friend. I agree with you. And another thing I'll say about Dexter Fowler is you put yourself in his shoes. It's like, man, a year ago, I'm a starting center fielder on the World Champions. And now I'm a leadoff hitter. Now I'm not leading off, I'm not playing center field, and I'm on a sub 500.
Well, he is going to be playing center field. I just don't know that he should be.
Right.
And really, Fowler would be a fine leadoff hitter. Carpenter just, for whatever reason, and I can't call him to his brain, he hits better there.
Yeah, it's
okay,
really
but
weird,
why can't Fowler be a 3-hitter? He's got this power that's showing up out of nowhere.
Yep.
He's hitting home runs like he never has. It's not a knock on Fowler to have him hit third.
Right.
I just think you might be able to help preserve his legs a little bit by putting him in a corner spot. It's where he's going to end up anyway.
Yeah.
Why not just make the move a little earlier? Tommy Pham gives you your best center field defense right now.
And then real quick, you mentioned Luke Voigt earlier. And that's
what are they going to do?
That's really fascinating. I wrote a piece for STLtoday.com just today about Matt Carpenter. He's maddening, but he's masterful. He's masterful. He has the most walks, not just in the National League, but in baseball. No player walks more than Matt Carpenter has. It's incredible. His OBP is 376, I believe, which is fantastic. Except his batting average is 237 and his slugging's in the 440s. So he's only getting on base from the walks. Meanwhile, Luke Voigt is slugging at first base. It's fun to see, but you have to wonder, can this last with Luke Voigt? But you got to see it through, right?
I appreciate Matt Carpenter's willingness to play anywhere the Cardinals ask him to. That should be commended. The problem is he's just not as good of a infielder at anywhere other than first base that he has been a long time. And you put him at second base and you see what happens. But to me, the numbers that Voigt has put up in a tiny little sample size make you say you have to find opportunities for this guy to either hit like that or prove that he can't sustain it. Like, you have to let him flame out before you stop finding him at bats. He has a game-changing swing, and he's been able to show it despite limited sample sizes here in St. Louis. The problem is now Colton Wong comes back. He's been so much better when Colton Wong plays, and he's hitting the ball. He's actually decreased his launch angle this year. So you hear about these guys hitting it up. Colton Wong said, "Look, I realize I'm not going to hit bombs, but I'm fast. I can hit line drives and ground balls and get on base." He's a 300 hitter so far this season, and he plays the steadiest second base that this team has seen so far. There's a reason they win more games when he plays. You got to play Colton Wong. If he can't keep it up, then you shake things up a little bit, put Carpenter back at second, let Luke Voigt play. For now, I think Luke Voigt's going to have to be an off-the-bench guy who they try to find matchup-related at-bats for. It's not an easy job, but it's going to be the job that Matt Adams was supposed to do. They're actually going to have to create spots for him, and they should be able to easier than Adams because Voigt hits right-handed, Carpenter hits left. There's a little bit more of a difference there.
Well, we have the easiest job. We get to drive around in a Jaguar and talk sports.
I'm an all-star. You're an all-star with an asterisk.
Two Bins is brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover St. Louis, a Plaza Motor Company.